Ready to escape the chaos of secular celebrations and fully immerse yourself in the serenity of Advent? Join me in a truly convicting exploration as we delve into an inspiring story reflecting on the pursuit of genuine peace that transcends the noise and distraction of the season. Hey there, Shannon here with Catholic Carolina Mom. If you're new to my page, thank you so much for being here and welcome. I'm a Catholic mom of 5, and I create videos to encourage Catholic moms to know and fully believe that regardless of what you're doing, whether it's working out, raising your kids, or decorating your home, that you can do it fully Catholic and all for God. Today is day 3 of week 1 in our journey walking through the Blessed is She Advent Devotional for Women. And we are going to read a really convicting story today that continues on with this week's theme of pursuit and rest. So today's story is written by Rachel Balducci. And if you check out the bio section in the back of the book, you can read all about Rachel there. But I will just say we are incredibly blessed to be able to hear from her not only today, but we're going to also hear her words of wisdom on Thursday of this week when she shares a second story with us. So she holds a master's degree in journalism, and she's a professor at Augusta University. She's a wife, a mother, an author, and if that's not enough, she co-hosts a show on Catholic TV as well. So needless to say, we're in really good hands hearing from her today. Before we begin, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do that. And if you ring the bell as well, you'll receive notifications each day that a new video drops on my channel and when it is available. And that way you won't miss out on any videos during the Advent journey or even after. Okay, so on to this story. If you'd like to follow along, you can turn to pages 6 and 7 in the book. And it just looks like this story, Rachel Balducci. It was the summer of 2015. My husband and our 6 children loaded the 12-passenger van to bring our oldest son to college. He had been accepted to the school of his dreams and started a summer intensive just 3 weeks after high school graduation. The rest of the summer looked like a death, the end of us all being together. One fewer person in the pew at Mass, an empty seat at the dinner table, the leader of the pack gone. In addition to this emptiness, I had other stressors. There was hurt in a friendship, financial insecurity, and anxiety over scary health issues with my mama. There was nowhere I felt safe. Everything was falling apart. Somehow, among those dark days, I experienced a moment of grace and turned to the Lord. Over the course of the following months, my prayer changed from demanding solutions to asking Jesus for peace. Jesus was waiting for me in my sadness and suffering. Somehow I trusted his offer of consolation. There was nowhere else to turn. Money, friendship, even my vocation of motherhood, none was as reliable as Jesus. None had brought the deep peace I desired. In this season, God pursued me. He was the only source of true peace, something I was seeking in all the wrong places. God alone gives peace. Recently, I remembered this painful time, and I heard the Lord tell me that it was in those moments that real healing began. I heard him in my heart say, "That was when you started to let me be the solution to your problems. That was when we got to work." I was surprised to learn throughout my difficult months how much I had come to rely on my circumstances to bring me security, to be the core of my confidence. It's where I had mistakenly desired to find my rest. And God doesn't want that. Not that he wants things to go poorly for me, but God alone is our safeguard. He wants to pursue our hearts so that we don't seek anything other than him. To paraphrase St. Augustine in his Confessions, our souls will never rest until they rest in God. God invites and even pursues us to go deeper with him. He doesn't desire our suffering, but He allows it and can use that suffering to remind us that He alone brings lasting peace. What area in your life feels churned up and chaotic? Ask Jesus to show you where He wants to be present to you in the midst of that suffering. Okay, wow. So today's reading really hit home for me. And I can relate to Rachel's story on a really personal level. And honestly, I wouldn't actually be surprised to see my name written at the top of that story today. And I'm sure so many of you can relate as well. So we have 3 kids out of the home. But for a few years now, our middle child, our middle son, has been the oldest child at home. And so he's been, in Rachel's words, the leader of the pack. And as he just went to college this past fall, we were kind of in the same situation. It was his dream school. So he's in Texas right now. We're in the Carolinas. And it was really like grieving. It was grief. And there was definitely a void everywhere we went. And so I can really relate to that. So he has a certain place in a pew at Mass. You know, we have our special pew that we sit at. It's reserved. It's not, but really it is, that we sit at every Sunday. And he has a special place, yet he just wasn't there anymore. And the same at the dinner table. He has his spot and he wasn't there. And you could clearly feel the void of him not being there. And it's very similar to grieving the loss of someone. But thankfully, he is still alive. And so I am able to call him and I can FaceTime him and I can go see him on visits and when he comes home. And that's a blessing. And so I'd never, ever want to compare that to parents who endure just awful, awful grief from really losing a child. But it is a sort of grief. And I don't think that it ever really goes away. Time definitely makes it easier and you adjust to what your new normal is. But I don't think it ever really goes away. At least for me at this point. I mean, he's been there since August and it's December now and it's still weird and it's still sad and it's still just different is how I'll put it. So I completely get the grief that Rachel experienced over that. And she goes on to say that she experienced hurt in a friendship. And I think so many of us can really relate to that. There's a real lack of loyalty in the world today. I believe more so than ever. But it's always been in the human heart, right? We're all sinners. We're prone to sin. And I just feel like, though, with the lack of morals that's really prevalent in society today, it feels like it exists more than it has in the past. And there's a lack of loyalty, a lack of respect, and this can really cause a lot of hurt in friendships that you thought were good and really valid. So she talks about a financial insecurity, and especially in today's economy, so many people are struggling and so many people just have an immense stress every month just to pay their bills, to fill up their gas tanks, to buy their groceries. I mean, it's just crazy. And I think that we can definitely relate to that. I know that I can personally. And then she mentions having anxiety over a scary health issue with her mama. And I think a lot of us as well stress about our parents as they're getting older and health issues that they have. And that really weighs on us. As we're getting older and we have kind of this shift of the cycles and the tides where we're now responsible for taking care of our parents instead of them being the ones taking care of us. And that can really weigh on us and just be a lot. I mean, we're blessed to do it and we love our parents, but it can definitely weigh on us. And when you're dealing with all of this, the grief from your child being away at school and dealing with a friendship issue and a lack of financial security and having anxiety over the health of your parent, it can really just be a lot. And so you turn to anything that you think could give you peace. And so you try all these things, or you try like what Rachel did, it sounds like, and you grasp onto the things that are bringing you the stress, right? You think if you can grasp onto them and control them, then you can find your peace from them instead of turning to the one who can give you true peace, the true peace that you're seeking. In these moments of stress and suffering and anxiety, we're just craving something to make it seem okay, to make everything seem like it's in our control. And so often, so many of us just want to be able to control a situation, and then it feels like whatever's going on, it's going to be okay because we know what comes next. We know what's going to happen. But by leaning into these things that are causing us stress, it should really be a clue that because they're causing us stress, causing us anxiety and grief and sadness, that they're not super stable and that they're not the right choice for bringing us peace in our life. This doesn't mean that these things can't bring us joy and love and friendship and a lot of really good things. Obviously, the love with your child is an amazing thing. And the same with a friendship and having a good relationship with your parents and being able to have money to pay your bills and to contribute to society and things that you really care about and to help people. That's all important and great and wonderful, but the difference is they were never meant to be the places where we obtain our peace and where we find rest. God is the only one, as she says here, that God alone gives peace. And the beauty of all of this is that she figured out through all of this. So she had to go through all of this suffering and grief and sadness. And then she found out through all of that Jesus was actually waiting for her there. And she says, well, God doesn't want her to have suffering or to have to go through bad things. He allows it. He wanted to pursue her heart so that she wouldn't seek anything else but him for that true peace. As it says in the last paragraph, he doesn't desire our suffering, but he allows it and can use that suffering to remind us that he alone brings lasting peace. So she had tried to turn to her money. She had tried to turn to other friendships, even to her vocation of motherhood. Maybe if I can be the best mom and I can make everything perfect and I can make these special little sandwiches with these perfect little notes every day that I'm just going to put in there and be there for everything and volunteer at their school all the time and drive the carpool for everybody and do all the things. Or maybe it's I'm going to post everything on social media just to show how great of a mom I am. And when I get lots of likes, that's going to make me feel better. Maybe it's wanting to do all of these things to hear your kids or your friends or even from strangers about how great you are and how much they love you. And that's wonderful when it's genuine, but it's never going to bring you the true peace that you're craving. And the same thing in friendships. People are human and they're going to let you down, even with the best of intentions. And money, definitely, it's great to have to be able to pay your bills. And God wants us to work and be responsible and prudent, but it's just so up and down, so it's never going to be a source of peace. So Rachel went through all of that, and God pursued her, and she realized that she was seeking peace in all the wrong places. And she heard the Lord tell her that it was, quote, in those moments that real healing began. And she heard him in her heart say, that was when you started to let me be the solution to your problems. that was when we got to work, end quote. So you kind of like try it your way, right? Oh, I'm gonna gain control of this situation and I'm gonna feel peace from this because I've got it all taken care of and under control. But then you kind of hit rock bottom and you're like, okay, I'm doing all the things, I'm taking control, and I still feel awful. And I think you finally get to this place where God reveals to you that you can do all those things, but you're never going to find the peace you're looking for apart from Him. It's interesting, the line, that was when we got to work. Because if you seek the peace from God and you spend time in rest with the Lord and really gain the true peace that regardless of what's going on in your world and in your circumstances, that nothing can sway that peace. Because that peace isn't built on humans. And that peace isn't built on fluctuating circumstances or things of this world. That peace comes from God, who is eternal, who is all good and all powerful and all loving. And that peace won't be severed as long as we seek it from Him, as long as we spend time with Him, as long as we rest in Him and recognize that that's where the true peace that we want comes from. She says, I was surprised to learn throughout my difficult months how much I had come to rely on my circumstances to bring me security, to be the core of my confidence. It's where I had mistakenly desired to find my rest. And St. Augustine's quote from his writings in the book Confessions states, our souls will never rest until they rest in God. And that brings me to the song of the day for today, and it is another song by Audrey Assad. And I just love her and really connect with her music, and her lyrics are just so powerful. So she has a song called Restless, and I'll drop a link down below for it. And please go listen to it if you have not heard it, or even if you have, it's a great song that completely relates to the story today and the message that's shared. It's very moving, and it comes from St. Augustine's words, our souls will never rest until they rest in you. So on a side note, I completely forgot to share the song of the day for yesterday. I did put it in the description underneath the video, but I forgot to mention it actually in the video. So I'm going to share it with you today, and it is the song Rest by Matt Maher. And again, it's just a really, really special song. And I played it yesterday morning, and it was literally stuck in my head all day long. But not only mine, I did hear my daughter singing it last night, and I heard her say to herself that she couldn't get the song out of her head. And I think that's just really the beauty of playing songs and singing songs and listening to songs that have God's word in them and that have these really powerful messages from His word, because then those are the thoughts that are in our minds. And so especially playing these around the house and around our children, it's just really, really a wonderful thing to do. So please check out Matt Maher's song as well. Again, it's called Rest, and it's based on Psalm 23. I think you'll really enjoy it, and I provided a link, as I said yesterday, but I'm going ahead and popping it down below for today as well. And you'll also find Audrey Assad's song Restless. So Rachel asks at the end, what area in your life feels churned up and chaotic? Ask Jesus to show you where He wants to be present to you in the midst of that suffering. And I would say it's very easy in today's world. There's just so much noise and so many distractions, and I really believe that Satan's greatest plan, is just to take down everybody by distracting us and by keeping us busy. We're so busy that, number one, we don't recognize that our true peace comes from God, And number two, we don't take the time to make him a priority and truly rest in him to find our peace. So I would say, especially during this season of Advent, it's so important in today's world to truly embrace Advent and use it as a time to really connect with God and to rest in him and to find your peace from him, to conversate with him and really be raw and honest about where you've tried to find your peace and what's going on in your life and your sufferings and just everything that you're going through. Share that all with him. Bring it to him, and then use this time to let him rest in your heart and bring peace into your heart, to fully prepare for him and his coming for Christmas and his second coming, and then also his coming into your heart. To prepare for all of these things and to really have peace that you need. And I think that looks like saying no to a lot of things. Like when non-believers or even our well-intentioned Christian brothers and sisters are fully celebrating Christmas already, and it's still the beginning of Advent. And Advent is about preparation and reflection. I would encourage you to really just spend some time in prayer with God about what your Advent looks like this year. My priest is really incredible, and one of his recent homilies talked about something that I also heard Father Mike share recently in his Catechism in a Year podcast. And that was that this idea of if you live next door to someone in your neighborhood and they're a non-believer, and so you live in the same neighborhood, so your houses are pretty much the same, and you might even drive the same cars, and your kids may go to the same school, you may even like the same sports teams and go to the same sporting events, you may shop at the same grocery store, but if your life looks indistinguishable from their life, if it looks just the same and there's nothing that makes you stand out as different, then you're not really living the call that God has given you as a disciple of Christ. Your life should look vastly different. Some things can look the same, of course, and that's fine. It's fine to like the same sports teams, and that's fine to live in the same type of house. But if you don't stand out in a big way, where people stand back and say, whoa, what does that person have? What's different about them? What are they doing in their life? I want some of that. If people don't see you doing different things and living in a different manner than what the world tells us is right, and they don't see you serving the poor or helping the needy and staying at peace amidst trials that others would go into a deep depression or have extreme anxiety or immense anger, and even if they don't see you, dare I say, not putting up your Christmas lights and not putting up your Christmas decorations until at least Gaudete or Rose Sunday, then are you really living as a Christian? Are you walking the walk and not just talking the talk? It's a really powerful way to stand out, for sure, as different. And when someone asks, why wouldn't you be putting up your Christmas lights? Everyone in the neighborhood's doing it. It's time. It's an opportunity for you to say, I'm fully embracing Advent season this year, and it's a time to really just grow close to the Lord and to prepare for his coming. And I'm really wanting to find true peace in him. And I cannot do that if I'm distracted by all this noise and secular society's idea of Christmas, which really has nothing to do with Jesus, if we're being honest. It's all about presents, and it's all about Santa Claus, and it's about polar bears and penguins and snow and food and candy and cookies. And yes, those things are great and wonderful in themselves and in moderation, of course. And they're appropriate in the proper time, though, when Christmas actually comes. So what a wonderful way to really show your faith, to be an example, and most importantly, to be able to work towards obtaining the peace that God can give you by growing in relationship with Him and truly resting in Him this Advent season. Now, if you've already decorated for Christmas, that's okay. I'm not asking you to take down all of your decorations, but maybe it looks like not watching the Christmas movies that society tells you should be watching right now. Maybe record them and then watch them later in the right season. Maybe it looks like not going to all the Christmas parties. Now, if you need to go for work or if it would really harm a relationship by not going, then of course go. But maybe if it's a neighborhood party or for someone that you don't really know very well or something you don't really need to go to, just not going to that. Maybe it's not doing the Christmas baking that everyone else is doing already. I would just encourage you to really spend some time alone with the Lord. And if you have decorated, to talk to Him about it and be really honest about it. What are the things that I allow society to pressure me into doing during Advent season that's supposed to be about me resting in the Lord and receiving peace in my heart to prepare for His coming? But instead, the world throws at me all this chaos and noise and stress. What does it look like in my life to embrace Advent and to say no to celebrating Christmas during this season of Advent and waiting instead and celebrating Christmas fully during its appropriate season? Because we're not saying we don't want to celebrate Jesus and celebrate His birth. We do, but there's a season for it. And yes, some things you have to do. We have to prepare. So we're going to have to purchase gifts for our loved ones in advance. We can't wait until Christmas Eve to go out Christmas shopping, although I do think I know some people who do that. And obviously, you're going to need to have things ready to decorate in the way that you feel called to decorate for Christmas. So you'll need to shop and get those things in advance. And it's actually a wonderful practice to decorate for Christmas on Gaudete, or like I said, Rose Sunday. And this year, that's on December 17th. And I know there's been this crazy Christmas tree shortage, at least where we live. So we actually went the day after Thanksgiving to get a Christmas tree up in the mountains. And it's really been a long, long tradition in our family to do that. But the tree just sits bare all Advent long until Gaudete Sunday, and then we'll start decorating the tree. And so it can be a thing where maybe you put up a little bit of ornaments at a time. Maybe it's that you put up half of your ornaments on Gaudete Sunday, and then on Christmas Eve night, you pull out the rest of the ornaments and together as a family decorate the tree. And that could be a really beautiful tradition and memory for your family. And not only that, it's a great way to pass on this understanding of the importance of waiting until Christmas to celebrate what Christmas really is, the birth of our Lord. And then continuing to celebrate when secular society tells you to throw your Christmas tree out on the curb December 26th and to turn off the Christmas music. But instead, it's us recognizing, wait a minute, Christmas just started and Christmas is a season. It's not a day. And I just started listening to Christmas music, and I just started watching Christmas movies, and I just fully decorated my house and put up my Christmas lights. So we're going to embrace this season in celebration and joy of Jesus's birth, and not give in to the pressures of what the world tells us we should be doing. And so it's another wonderful way to witness even to our Christian brothers and sisters and to non-believers who are going to think, hey, what's wrong with that lady? She still has her Christmas tree up, or she still has her Christmas decorations up. Why is this lady listening to Christmas music? It's a wonderful time to share what Christmas season is and why it's appropriate to continue celebrating into January. So I hope that this comes off not as judgy or that I think that I'm better than you because this is the way that I do it, because I've not always done it this way. And I hope that this doesn't come off as judgy or that I think I'm better than you because this is the way that I do it, because I've not always done it this way. But when I heard about this message and really started learning about it, it was extremely convicting. And including in this study that we're doing right now, walking through this Advent devotional study and hearing more of this message, I find it to be a really wise message that if you're seeking true peace from Jesus, and we remember that Advent is a season that is here for a purpose. The church has given it to us for a reason, and that is to prepare for Jesus, to reflect and to rest. And so in knowing all of that and learning that and being convicted by that message, that's when you really begin to understand, okay, so if this is what the purpose of the season is for, and this is the ultimate goal, this is what I'm craving, and in fact, this is what every human heart craves, right? We all crave true peace, and we all crave true peace from God, whether people know that or not. Then it only makes sense to use this time in the appropriate manner so that we can be fully present for the Lord, and so we can fully celebrate his birth and be prepared for his second coming. And it kind of seems almost disrespectful of an amazing gift, the most amazing gift that can be given, Jesus himself. It becomes almost on the edge of disrespect to not grasp the value of that gift and how appropriate it is to prepare ourselves for receiving the gift of Jesus and for using this season of Advent in a way that ensures we are ready for him. So again, this is just my takeaway. Your takeaway may be completely different, and that's okay. I think a lot of it is really personal, and you just have to take it to prayer and just pray and have conversations with God about it and read his word and do a lot of reflection. But at the end of the day, though, it can't be about finding peace in other things. That's never going to be the solution to finding peace among your struggles in life. It will always be found in Jesus Christ. You're just not going to find it among the noise and the chaos and among the celebrations, most of which have nothing to do with Jesus, and they're just this happy holidays, winter warm fuzzies kind of feelings that when you take a step back and you look and then you wonder, what are they really celebrating? What is this all about? Is this just about love and feeling good? Which it's wonderful to love, and it's wonderful to have human relationships and to, of course, enjoy yummy food. I mean, who doesn't like yummy food? And to give gifts, that's all great, but not at the expense of missing out on the most important relationship in our lives and using the time that's set aside by the church for us to fully prepare for him and to really work towards finding that true peace that we all crave. So I hope that this was really convicting for you today as well. There are two questions that are presented after this story on pages 8 and 9. And the first question is, where do you find your security? To whom or what do you turn when life feels heavy or uncertain? Rachel tried finding security in other places only to discover it really came through Christ alone. Who is Jesus to you in these times? So that's going to be you taking some quiet time away from distractions and just really talking to God about this and really being honest with yourself and with him, answering these questions. Where do you find security when things are falling apart? Are you like Rachel, who used to cling on to these things and tried to find control in them and peace from her situation? Do you turn to certain people? Do you turn to certain things when life is uncertain? And who is Jesus to you when these things are falling apart? Is he some magical genie that you come to and you beg him and you want him to just do this stuff for you, and then you don't talk to him until the next thing in life falls apart?
Is he the last person on your list? You call your best friend and you call your mom and you complain on your social media and you cry your eyes out and you eat a carton of ice cream first. And then when none of that stuff makes you feel better, oh yeah, I should probably pray to God and ask him for his help. Is he a last resort to you? Or is Jesus your first call? When life hits you hard, is Jesus the first person that you think of, that you want to call and that you want to talk to and that you want to cry to? So moving on, the second question is, are you faced with a trial or suffering in some way right now? Walk with the Good Shepherd in prayer, speaking to him from your heart. Give him permission to shepherd you through this struggle. I think all of us go through suffering or some sort of trial at every point in our lives. And so this is also going to be spending some really good quiet time with the Lord in prayer today and just being really honest with him, speaking with him, sharing with him, and laying it all out there for him. And then once you've done all of that, to make sure that you listen for his voice and listen for any insight he has to share with you. And then to write these things down in your journal, or they did leave some places in the book right here, but if you want to keep them all in one place, it would be really great to just write them all in your journal to refer back to. But however you wish to go about it, this is going to be something really personal for you to do in your time alone with the Lord. So I hope that this was really convicting and inspiring for you today. It really was for me. And I know this was a little longer video, so I appreciate you for sticking with me. I just think this is such an important message to hear and to have a conversation about. And I know that your time as a mom is very precious, so I just appreciate you being here very much. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. But until then, remember that whether you're decorating your home, raising your kids, or working out, that you can do it fully Catholic and all for God. Blessings to you, Catholic mom. See you next time.